Okay, this is the next part of the French door project. I'm adding house wrap. In the last video I added the first piece of house wrap. Now I'm going to start adding house wrap and underneath these existing clapboards so that I can put new clapboards over it and give it better protection than, of course, what I would get if I simply added it on over the wood, because the weather barrier has failed there. Now I've just added one additional piece. So originally, there was a sheet of Tyvek that I was able to overlap underneath here, and it went out, the original piece went out to about here. Okay, at this vent from a furnace that was installed after this was all, last renovation was done, that was cut through here. Now I only went up to this point. There's the original, that was the Tyvek in that little corner. Now I've added a piece over this, overlapping it, and I've come out, and now the original Tyvek under here comes out to this point. I've overlapped that. But the problem is now what's going to happen here. Any water running down here is going to be deposited behind this wall where there is no anything below that. So this is where I can't do this in the standard way without ripping the wall out. I don't have a barrier under here to overlap. My approach is going to be to create a barrier that comes out over this shingle. So anything from above will get deposited to this point and not to go under there. That's what I'm going to do now. Okay. I'm going to add another piece. I'll hit pause and I will kind of show you through how I'm going to do that. You can see there's a little piece of metal here. That was actually a piece of metal flashing that was placed over the Tyvek in the original, not the original, but in a repair that I had done previously. That's not going to play any function now. That didn't really do anything. This goes behind that. Okay, I'm going to take another piece here. I have another 1 foot section that I'm going to now put into place here. And I'm going to tie it in, not under here, but over here. Okay? I'll hit pause. Okay, now, what I have here is a 4-inch piece of self-adhering flashing. I'll fold it back, the backing to 1-inch mark, and my intention is to now apply the 3 inches onto this Tyvek, and the remaining 1 inch I'm actually going to adhere to here to make this bond. Okay, I'll use the pause and I'll do this in steps. Okay, I've attached 3 inch of the adhering portion to the Tyvek. I now have 1 inch down below. I'm now going to slide this into the position that I want it to. Okay, I've slid this piece under, and you can see the release paper is sticking down. I have it about 2 inches under the shingle. Now the seam where the original Tyvek ended is somewhere around here. I've got about a 4-inch overlap. And of course I'll tape that seam, so I'm going to now remove the release paper, adhere this to that shingle. Okay? I'll hit pause. Okay, there you have it. I have the flashing tape, and I pressed it firmly. Now, I can't press it firmly on this 2 inches. I can push on this clapper. That's the best I can do. Okay. Other than that, the thing about that tape is it will adhere to wood, but it adheres to clean wood better than weathered wood. You might need a primer on weathered wood. I might end up needing to use it up above when I seal the top on weathered wood. I may need to apply a primer, but down here I applied it directly to this clapboard because it seems really clean, and the bond actually looks pretty good to me. Okay, hopefully it'll adhere to the Tyvek. I can't imagine why it wouldn't. Normally you wouldn't apply this to Tyvek. The idea is that this should produce a watertight seam. The water will flow here, and now it's going to collect underneath the clapper that's over here and should drain down underneath the clapboard. Okay. Now the clapboard, sometimes you end up painting it underneath it to, produce a tight bond, or just by inadvertently, and that would be a potential problem on this type of a setup, because the water, if there were water coming down, it would have no place to go, so it would have to move sideways to eventually get to a drain point. And part of that will be in this other direction, which of course I don't want it to go in that direction. So here's where you might think, according to this system, the clapboard you would not want to be painted underneath here. I'm not sure if that's not something that you can enforce, particularly if you're not the person doing the painting, but that's what I got anyway. The other option, I could have left the tie back, right, without even this weather seal, because it should, as long as that overlap existed, but I wasn't comfortable with it flapping like that, and I didn't want to have to staple it or tape it or what have you here. Anyway, the key here probably for this section is, for me, when I put this back together, is to make sure there's a way for it to drain underneath here. Okay, I don't think that's going to be terribly hard. Okay, great, thanks. That's all for this one, but I'll continue on with that same technique, working my way up, shingling this. But in this section is the difficult part, because this has failed. I can't just overlap onto this and expect a good result. In many cases, it's not even there to overlap onto, so I'll do that same thing here, working my way out. And I'll put another sheet overlapping it. Eventually I'll get to the top where I'm going to be doing the tying in the new clapboards all the way to that window. That's where I'll have to produce a seal at the top from this to allow that water to run off. Okay, thanks.